Hello, my friends. Welcome back to my channel. We are about to do an excessive, ginormous, extensive book haul. I'm talking like 36 books. So I want to preface with a couple of things here. First off, these are books I've accumulated in the last month and a half or so. And here's the thing. I actually have no excuse for my book buying behaviors. I don't. We have a problem, clearly. But I also want to mention that these came from diverse places, right? So there was a local library book sale that was the reason for a lot of these. There were thrift shops that I love to go to. Some of you may have seen my Chamblinn's Book Mine where that happened, which actually, nope, that doesn't even count these books. That's not included. Well, you know, it came from a variety of places, but I want you to know that a lot of these books, the majority of these books are used books. And not that I have to justify my behaviors, but like to myself, I'm justifying it, you know, because I think that buying books is a wonderful thing. So I am here to not just indulge my own addiction, but hopefully to help you indulge yours. And I guess on the other hand, like if you really don't want to be buying more books, you don't have to. You can read the books you have. But if this is the type of permission you're looking for, you know, live through my experience, live through my book haul so you can experience my joy. Okay, you know what? Let's just get into today's book haul. What I want to try and do is to section this out in categories. So we have romance, fantasy, kind of more cozy YA fantasy. We have sci-fi, horror, thriller, classics, dark romance, you know, there's diverse things in here. So we're just going to go through all of them. And some of them I think are blended between genres, but we're not going to pay attention to that. All we care about is the books. So let's just get right into it. I'm just going to start off with my bread and butter, my favorite genre, which is fantasy. Okay. So I got some really good finds this month, some really good finds, and we're going to start off really strong. Hold on. With finding the entire First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie in a secondhand store. And you guys, I think I got all of these for $20 and they're in perfect condition. They're new. So for those of you who don't know, Joe Abercrombie is a very accomplished fantasy writer, and I actually have not gotten into his works yet. I've been wanting to for a long period of time. From what I hear, he writes conflicted characters really well in a way that's almost comical. A lot of people say his fantasy style is very unique, and the Blade itself, I like going into fantasies pretty blind, but okay, well, we have another full-faced author photo. We've been stumbling on those a lot lately, if you know, you know. And you know what, guys? There is not a synopsis on this book, like at all. So I'm just going to roll with it. And I have the full trilogy here. I have no doubt I'm going to love it. So I'm really excited for that one. If you know about this trilogy, don't fill me in on like everything it's about. But if you loved it, let me know in the comments because I want to feel motivated to read it. I am so excited because I got my hands on the Tainted Cup duology. I don't know what the official name of this duology is, but these covers, they're so pretty. They are so gorgeous. And this one, I do know what it's about. So the tagline says, a Holmes and Watson style detective duo take the stage in this fantasy with a mystery twist. From the Edgar-winning, multiple Hugo-nominated Robert Jackson Bennett. In Daratana's grandest mansion, an imperial officer lies dead, killed to all appearances when a tree erupted from his body. I love that imagery. That's great. Even here at the Empire's borders, where contagions abound and the blood of the Leviathans works strange magical changes, it's a death both terrifying and impossible. Assigned to investigate is Annelle Delabra, a detective whose reputation for brilliance is matched only by her eccentricities. Rumor has it she always wears a blindfold and can solve impossible cases without stepping outside the walls of her home. At her side is her new assistant, Jenios Cole. magically altered in ways that make him the perfect aid to Anna's brilliance. All right, so this is going to be actually interesting for me because mystery is like one of my least favorite genres, which is interesting. I love thriller, I love horror, I love fantasy. I love almost anything. I would say mystery, it's the least likely genre where I'm going to love it. I tend to get a little bit bored. So I'm excited to see a blend of fantasy, whimsy with mystery. I think that could turn out really well, perhaps. So I'm excited to get to these. Okay, so the next one I'm really excited about, and I will be saying that for every single one, but this one I'm very excited because the next book I have is Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Marillier. And here's the thing, I actually started this one a couple years ago and then things came up. I ended up putting it down and I really wanted to save it for a time when I could savor the writing because her writing style can very much be described as like almost cottagecore fantasy. She writes about medieval natural landscapes so well. It's so dreamy and her character work is lovely. And also her main character is Sorsha, I think her name is. And this is a retelling of The Six Swans. So it says it's a historical fantasy novel set in ancient Ireland, which really is my favorite setting. And what's going on here is Sorsha, she's the seventh child and she has six brothers. And her father is Lord Colum, and she lives at a keep called Seven Waters. And this woman called Lady Unag, I'm going to put it here, y'all decide how you pronounce that. She comes in and I think is set to be possibly married to her father, the Lord, and she ends up being a sorceress with her own agenda. And so you just watch how her as the youngest and as the only sister ends up watching her brothers. Do they get turned into swans? Is that the fairy tale? I'm definitely going to do a reading vlog on this and then y'all can see. But I am so excited to read this. It's going to be right up my alley and I know her writing is absolutely stunning. She really is such an incredible fantasy author. And I know there's a lot of people who do know about her, but I know there's a ton of people who don't. So if you don't, I highly recommend giving her a try. I think she's a very underrated author. Okay, so this next book is very hyped at the moment, so I'm really excited to get to it. And it is The Will of the Many by James Illington. And most of y'all know what this is about. This is one that I really much wanted to get to right when it came out, but just like other things got in the way. There's other things I wanted to read, so I'm finally getting to it. And I really love this edition. The other edition wasn't as much my cup of tea, so I went with this one. And I know the next one's coming out this year too. And I think that's also why I waited, because I know I'm going to want to get to the second one or the next one in the series as soon as this is done. And you guys, look how gorgeous this inside is. So, so pretty. So for those of you who have no idea what this is about, it says, at the elite Katherine Academy, a young fugitive uncovers layered mysteries and world-changing secrets in this new fantasy series by James Illington. Audi Vidi Tace? Definitely saying that wrong. The hierarchy may rule the world now, but they do not know everything. I tell them my name is Vistalimus. I tell them I was orphaned after a tragic accident 3 years ago, and that good fortune alone has led to my acceptance into their most prestigious school. I tell them that once I graduate, I will gladly join the rest of civilized society by allowing my strength, my drive, and my focus, what they call will, to be leached away and added to the power of those above me, as millions already do, as all must eventually do. Okay, so I did know this a bit going in, that the will is something that tangibly they can give to those in power. So that's what creates this hierarchy. And that's really interesting. That's definitely a unique plot point that I've never heard of. He says, I tell them that I belong and they believe me. But the truth is that I have been sent to the academy to find answers, to solve a murder, to search for an ancient weapon, to uncover secrets that may tear the Republic apart, and that I will never ever cede my will to the empire that executed my family. All right, yeah, I agree. To survive, though, I will still have to rise through the academy's ranks. I will have to smile and make friends and pretend to be one of them and win, because if I cannot, then those who want to control me, who know my real name, will no longer have any use for me. And if the hierarchy finds out who I truly am, they will kill me. All right, so this also sounds like a school setting, a competition setting. I don't think anything can go wrong with this. I will be so surprised if I don't love this and this doesn't become a favorite. So I have very high expectations for that one. All right, next I have Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry, and I have already started this one actually. I'm about 3/4 of the way through. I have thoughts about this book, so that'll be coming out in my next video where I'm doing a romantasy vlog with 3 new releases, and this is one of them. And I have mixed feelings about this. You'll hear all of that then. But basically, this is about a princess named Odessa, and her father is the lord of this kingdom called Quentis, and this land is very quintessential kind of medieval setting, everything you'd expect in a fantasy. And Odessa is special. She doesn't like to wear pants. She's very traditional. She doesn't stand out. She doesn't believe in herself. And her sister, May, I think her name is, she has been born and bred to be married off to a prince. And the woman married off to a prince, the daughter, is called the Sparrow. And there is a treaty in place in this world called the Shield of Sparrows, where every generation, a daughter from one kingdom is married off to a prince or a son in another kingdom, and that keeps the surrounding territories and kingdoms at peace. So unexpectedly, the prince comes into the throne room and visits with the king and says, hey, actually, I don't want May, the daughter you've trained to do this. I want her, Odessa. And Odessa's like, what the heck? I don't know what I'm doing. And her father says, actually, I have a task for you when you're in this enemy territory, and I need you to carry that out for me. And so it's this big mission. Now, I won't say too much else there because I don't want to spoil anything. All you need to know is that she gets married off to a prince. That's the main plot point. And then the prince also has this warrior called the Guardian. And as the name implies, you already know what that means. There is a budding romance, and I will save my thoughts for my reading vlog with this. But yeah, I think so far, I'd recommend picking it up if you're a romantasy lover, but there are definitely some issues I'm having with it, and I'm excited to fill y'all in on that vlog because my thoughts are many. All right, so next we have Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. So I already read Phantasma, and it was a nice surprise. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think it really shocked me in how atmospheric the book was, which is a huge thing for me. If I feel like I can smell, breathe, touch the world, which sounds very strange, but if I feel like I'm in it, then I'm a happy girl. So Phantasma was very atmospheric. And what the plot is there's a main character called Ophelia, and she has her sister named Genevieve. So the first book starts out where their mother, who is a necromancer, they find her murdered, and they're wondering why it happened. So Ophelia and Genevieve find themselves on hard times. They're about to lose their manor. And so there is a traveling competition that comes into town called Phantasma, and it's hosted by the devil. And basically, if you survive the trials of Phantasma, you can get a wish granted. And so Genevieve goes missing. Ophelia assumes that Genevieve has joined this competition called Phantasma, which is very dangerous. It's in this gothic manor, and Ophelia joins. And there is a budding romance in it with kind of this spectral ghost phantom-like man called Blackwell, I want to say, but I recommend it if you like gothic settings, very atmospheric books. It's fast-paced, it's romantasy, and it has to do with trials and games, which were actually my least favorite part of the book. I found the romance and the storyline aspect of it to be far more interesting, but I enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see what book 2 has in store. All right, so the next fantasy romantasy I have is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. Look how gorgeous this copy is. This is the Barnes & Noble edition that I pre-ordered. And I just got this in yesterday, and I'm actually about 100 pages in already. This will also be in my romantasy vlog, where I will be doing a reading of it and talking about my thoughts. all I can say is, Rachel, I'm sorry I doubted you. So for those who don't know, I mentioned this in a TBR I did. I was not the biggest fan of One Dark Window, so I actually tried the audiobook out with that and I did not like it. I'm going to give that a try again later on this year, but it had me doubting whether Rachel Gillig was for me, but I was immediately drawn to this cover, this story. It's a gothic medieval tale about a prophetess who meets this knight where she cannot see his future or see his prophecy. So it's very, again, gothic vibes, very misty, very moody, but something that's really surprising me so far, which again, I'm going to talk about in the vlog. This is so heartwarming and it's so funny. I have laughed out loud a few times, which is crazy. And the writing is so beautiful. And so I'm like 100 pages in. I'm having a great time, but this could go any which way because I haven't gotten that far. So if you want to know my full thoughts, make sure to watch that vlog. All right. And then I also got The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. So I'm not going to lie, you guys, the only reason why I have not read this series yet is because I know I'm going to love it so much. I know I'm going to have all the feelings. I know I'm going to cry. Everything anyone has ever said about this book makes it sound like it was made for me, that it is going to become an all-time favorite. I have super high expectations for it. And I think there's a couple reasons why sometimes I avoid those books. I think first, I'm afraid to be disappointed, right? Like, I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong about a fantasy series that I think I'm going to love, but also I think it's going to destroy me. So I feel like I have to be prepared for it. But y'all have probably seen these special edition covers that are coming out. So I'm kind of happy I waited because these are gorgeous. And the second one in the series is coming out in this edition too. So it's a perfect time to read it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to crush me. So the next one is kind of a cozy YA fantasy, and it's called Where the Dark Stands Still. And I'm not going to lie, you guys, I bought this one for the cover. I bought it for the cover, but the cover doesn't usually steer me wrong. I'm not going to lie. Like these days, choosing a book based on the cover tends to work out for me 9 times out of 10. And this one actually sounds really, really cute. So this book follows a girl called Liska, and she was born with magical powers, I believe, and she feels like a burden to her family. She feels danger, so she's going to travel into this magical dark wood to retrieve this flower that will help her banish her powers. And when she's in the woods, she meets this demon guardian of the woods, and he basically says, hey, if you can stay in my manor for a year, I think it is, then I will help you with your powers and you can go home. So this is going to be a year of her finding out what the secret behind this warden is, what his deal is, what his powers are, what the manor is all about. And I actually did read a couple chapters into this right when I bought it, and the vibes of this are a 10 out of 10. It's so whimsical and magical and mysterious and just earthy. So I'm really looking forward to this one. And I love books like this that are a bit lighter to read, but it doesn't mean that there's less depth to them. It's still such good writing, and I really have high hopes for this one. Okay, you guys, the last fantasy I have here before we get to the other books is The Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst. So I hear such great things about this book. I know a few booktubers I've seen. This is their absolute favorite. Look how pretty the purple is. And I'm just anticipating a cozy fantasy. I'm planning on picking this up when I need a break from the more high stakes fantasy that I like to read. And yeah, it literally says a lush cottagecore tale full of stolen spellbooks, unexpected friendships, sweet jams, and an even sweeter love. I mean, yeah. I love that. I cannot wait to read that. All right, let's get into romance, shall we? The first one I have to show you is Summer in the City by Alex Astor. It has these super cute end pages, and Taylor actually picked this up for me one day and brought it home. I know this is a really popular one right now because I think she normally does fantasy, right? And this is her first romance. And I know a lot of people love her as an author. If I give my honest opinion, I'm not expecting to love this just because I think there's a 50-50 chance when authors switch genres that it's not going to be the best book you've ever read. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, which with one book I'm reading right now, a dark romance writer switched to writing fantasy, and you can tell that there just is this gap there. when I go into books like that, I'm just expecting it to not be the best because the popularity of them writing the other genre is what propelled this being popular. But also, I love being surprised. So it looks super short. It's a super thin book, so I'm excited to read it. And honestly, if it's just a cute, good time, I'm happy. So the next one I have is Passion Project by London Sperry, and it's a really similar vibe to Summer in the City. I think this one's also based in New York City, and obviously it's a romance. I noticed right off the bat, I feel like this is the Emily Henry font, and like not like she has a monopoly on that font, but I don't know. I'm like, let's be original, guys. I know it's publishing world. They have their own opinions on things, but I feel like they're all starting to look the same. You know what I mean? Every genre, it's a problem. But the plot sounds pretty cute. It says Bennett Taylor should be living the best years of her life, but she's failing miserably, emphasis on miserable. Adrift in New York City, she has no direction and no energy to find one. When Bennett is set up on a first date with Henry Adams, she drunkenly confesses that she's not ready to love again. In fact, she doesn't feel passion for anything. Not pottery, not sports, nothing. Irrepressibly adventurous, Henry offers to help Bennett uncover her passion for life. Every Saturday, they'll try a new activity as friends, of course. Okay, so that's why it's called Passion Project. That sounds really cute. It touches on mental health a bit. So I think something like this can be done really, really well or not the best. So I'm excited to see how that goes. And I really love a romance plot that touches on the deeper subjects, especially mental health. Okay, so the next one is a little different. It is called Edenbrooke by Julian Donaldson. And this one isn't insanely popular. I don't think there's not a whole lot of reviews on Goodreads, but I've seen a couple of YouTubers mention this one, and it is a what they call proper romance, which I think that means closed door. So there's not a lot of spicy scenes or no spicy scenes. There's just kind of that traditional romanticism and banter. And you guys, I literally don't have a synopsis on this book, so I don't know what it's about. All I'm expecting is a Bridgerton-esque romance that I know people love, and I do love those types of books and that aesthetic. So I'm excited to read this. I feel like this could be a really fun spring read, which we're getting to the end to, but I'm excited. Okay, so the next one I have very high expectations of, and that is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I have never read a Christina Lauren book, and this cover is so cute. I love it so much. I have heard that this one will make me cry. I have heard that it is oh my gosh. Okay, I have heard it's fantastic writing, and let me just read you the plot. It's so cute. It says, Macy Sorensen is settling into an ambitious, if emotionally tepid, routine. Work hard as a new pediatrics resident, plan her wedding to an older, financially secure man, keep her head down and heart tucked away. But when she runs into Elliot Petropoulos, the first and only love of her life, the careful bubble she's constructed begins to dissolve. So this is a second chance romance. Okay. Once upon a time, Elliot was Macy's entire world, growing from her gangly, bookish friend into the man who coaxed her heart open again, only to break it on the very night he declared his love for her. Oh. Wait, what did he do? He broke her heart on the night he declared his love? How? Okay. We'll see. Told in alternating timelines between then and now. I love that. Teenage Elliot and Macy grow from friends to much more, spending weekends and lazy summers together in a house outside San Francisco, devouring books, sharing favorite words, and talking through their growing pains and triumphs. As adults, they have become strangers to one another until their chance reunion. Although their memories are obscured by the agony of what happened that night so many years ago, Elliot will come to understand the truth behind Macy's decade-long silence and will have to overcome the past and himself to revive her faith in the possibility of an all-consuming love. Yeah, that sounds really good and really heavy. This one just moved way up into my TBR. I love that. I feel like romance is such an important genre. I really hate the fact that it inherently has become seen as feminine. Not that feminine things are wrong. I think there is some power in things being labeled as feminine, but I also think it's interesting that romance as a genre is seen as feminine when, in my opinion, I think the reason it's seen that way is just women are more in touch with their emotions generally. And so it's feminine, but actually it's just really good stories about love, which is valid for everyone. And I really want romance books to do the genre justice. And so I love when plots sound like that. They are really well written. And yeah, I'm really excited for that one. Okay, so the next one I have is a very different approach to romance, and it's Bride by Ali Hazelwood. So the only other Ali Hazelwood I have read was Deep End, and I actually gave that one a 4. I thought she did her research really well with the characters and the subject matter. So for those of you who don't know, Deep End is her latest romance about a swimmer and a diver. And it's a very spicy book. There's some mental health things that come up. And yeah, it was quite smutty, quite spicy, but also I think she did a good job and knew exactly what she was trying to do with it. And so I wanted to pick up this one called Bride, and it literally on the back just says a vampire bride and an alpha werewolf form a dangerous alliance in this enthralling new paranormal romance. So I know a sequel to this one is coming out, I think this year, and I am looking for a good time with this. I'm not looking to take it too seriously, so I might save this one for around fall time. That might be a fun vlog to do, just kind of vampire werewolf related books or something like that. All right, so the last romance I have is called Funny Story, none other than Funny Story. So I actually talked to you guys about this one already in my May TBR, but I got the physical copy of it because I started the book on Kindle and it was just way too good to not have a physical copy. I am annotating the heck out of this. It is so cute. I have laughed out loud multiple times. It just has me smiling. It is one of those books that I do not know why I didn't read it sooner because it's becoming an all-time favorite. So very high praise. I just got the physical copy and I'm so excited about it. All right, so let's sharply pivot to thriller slash horror. I'm not going to separate these two genres because there's too much crossover, but the first one I have here is The Last House on Needless Street by Katrina Ward. So I read this year Looking Glass Sound by her. So I'll put a photo of that right here. And it was 5 stars, so good, one of the best thrillers I've ever read. It was a very literary style thriller. Her writing is absolutely gorgeous. I adore her character work. And the way she describes horrific or creepy scenes is so poetic. It's so beautiful. And I feel like I have just been searching for a book like Looking Glass Sound for so long. So I highly recommend that. So this is going to be my second book by her, and the vibe is totally different from Looking Glass Sound. I really love this cover. It's just right up my alley. And the synopsis is pretty quick. So it says, in a boarded up house on a dead end street at the edge of the wild Washington woods, love, lives a family of 3. A teenage girl who isn't allowed outside, not after last time. A man who drinks alone in front of his TV, trying to ignore the gaps in his memory. Ooh. And a house cat who loves napping and reading the Bible. That's so cute. An unspeakable secret binds them together, but when a new neighbor moves in next door, what is buried among the birch trees may come back to haunt them all. It's an immersive and shocking journey that will keep you guessing until the last page. What I'm hoping from this book, even the synopsis gives me those vibes, is that she incorporates her poetic and whimsical style into this story too. I definitely got those vibes from Looking Glass Sound. It is a thriller and horror at its core, but again, the writing is just so beautiful. All right, so the next thriller I have is Bad Taurus by Caro Carver. So this cover intrigued me because I really love thrillers with specific seasonal settings. Like I love knowing I can read a fast-paced thriller that's in a woods during the fall time or the winter with snow in the winter time. And I love that this is a summery vacation vibe because I just think that's fun to read thrillers in a similar setting that you're in. I don't plan on going to like Tahiti or Bora Bora this year, but if it's summery vibes, then that's good enough for me. So it says best friends, good liars, Bad Taurus. Tight-knit friends Darcy, Camilla, and Kate escape for an extravagant divorce trip in the Maldives, the perfect place to unwind and celebrate a new chapter in midlife. Darcy is learning how to be a free woman at 41. Camilla has found her calling as a fitness and wellness influencer with a devoted following, and Kate is finally working on the book she was meant to write after years ghostwriting other people's stories. All right. Their dream getaway, the exclusive and isolated Sapphire Island Resort. With luxurious private villas, crystal clear waters, and sun-drenched white sand beaches, relaxation is guaranteed. But this is no ordinary friendship, and they're not the only guests on the island with secrets. Oh my God. Who left a body on the beach and who's next? Whoa, that escalated quickly. A deliciously dark tale about female friendship, loyalty, and lies. It's a white-hot thriller from the opening scene to its mind-blowing finish. Okay, so this sounds like exactly what I'm looking for in a fast-paced thriller. You know, I think that we all just need those thrillers that are a distraction, that give you the thrills and the scares, and I'm really hoping this one does that. But like, damn girls, like, why do you have secrets and why is there a dead body? I also really love fast-paced thrillers that are about female friendships and just the complications there. So a couple that I've loved lately are Out in the Woods, although I will preface by saying that was not a thriller. It was a mystery, and I will die on that hill. It was marketed wrong, and that left me feeling a little disappointed. But that one does address female friendships in some respects, although it's not the main plot point. But The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager is a good one for that too. That one's also a summer camp vibe and a summer vibe, so that's one I highly recommend. But excited to see what this one entails, and I need a thriller for summer, so this is perfect. All right, the next thriller, horror-y type book I have is Foe by Ian Reid. So Ian Reid, I think, is a little bit hard to put in one genre. I tend to see him most described in horror or thriller, but he's the author of I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which is one of my favorite thriller horrors. It's so good. I think it's so good that it should genuinely be read in schools. I think it's just genius the way he writes psychological horror. And so I'm really excited for this because I've actually never read another one of his books, and it's for the same reasons I had with The Poppy War, where I'm afraid I won't love it because of how much I loved I'm Thinking of Ending Things. So I've heard really interesting things about this one. So the tagline says, "We don't get visitors, not out here. We never have." Junior and Henrietta are a quiet married couple. They live a comfortable, isolated life on their farm, far from the city lights, but in close quarters with each other. One day, a stranger from the city arrives with surprising news. Junior has been randomly selected to travel far away from the farm. Very far away. The most unusual part, arrangements have already been made so that when he leaves, Hen won't have a chance to miss him at all because she won't be left alone, not even for a moment. Hen will have company, familiar company. Told in Reid's sharp and evocative style, Foe examines the nature of domestic relationships, self-determination, and what it means to be or not to be a person. An eerily entrancing page-turner, it churns with unease and suspense from the first words to its shocking finale. So he very much is my taste. I think similar to what I read from Katrina Ward, his style is very literary and thoughtful and beautiful and eerie, and he goes further than being a thriller. He really is such a good writer with deeper themes. And what do you mean she'll have company? Familiar company? What? But it says they don't get visitors, so who is it? I think it would be fun to do a reading vlog with finishing up his backlist and catching up there. Maybe I'll include that in that video so we can read it together. All right, so the next one I got is Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. This is so many people's favorite horror author. They love him, and he is very esteemed for his writing. I tried a long time ago to read The Only Good Indians, I think it's called, and it just was wrong place, wrong time. I couldn't get into it, but I really think there's something special about this author. I've read a couple short stories by him, and I am really excited about this one because it has to do with indigenous vampires, I think. This one sounds so intriguing. It says, this chilling historical novel is set in the nascent days of the state of Montana, following a Blackfeet Indian named Goodstab as he haunts the fields of the Blackfeet Nation looking for justice. It begins when a diary written in 1912 by a Lutheran pastor is discovered within a wall in 2012. What is unveiled is a slow massacre, a nearly forgotten chain of events that goes back to 217 Blackfeet dead in the snow, told in the transcribed interviews with Goodstab, who shares the narrative of his peculiar and unnaturally long life over a series of confessional visits. This is an American Indian revenge story captured in the vivid voices of the time by one of the new masters of literary horror. So I'm very excited. Historical fiction mixed with horror, great writing, and a vampire plot. What else could I ask for? So the next one I picked up is The Unworthy by Augustina Basterica. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And I am excited for this one. It's religious horror, which is one of my favorite subgenres. And I love the cover. If you open the cover, very cool. I think this is the Barnes & Noble edition. I read Tender is the Flesh by this author, and I did not like it. And here's what I'll say. I do not mind really disturbing plot points. I don't mind things that push the edge of your comfort zone. And I went into it knowing what I would get from it in terms of the plot and how grotesque it is. That's not what I had an issue with. I think the hype was a little bit hype trained and that people just constantly recommended it and picked it up for the wrong reasons. In my opinion, I think it was hyped because of the taboo nature of the topic, which got people picking it up. And then the expectations were set so high when really I think I would have had better expectations if it was more marketed like translated work, which we love, and it was more a speculative horror, which I think that so many people say the themes of it were so deep and just really complex. And I did not think that. I think that the point made was a bit simplistic and I wasn't shocked by any of it. I did not like the main character, and I know that we're not supposed to, but I don't feel like I learned anything by not liking him. I kind of just think he was gross. I think that I predicted everything that happened, and the overall point that she was trying to make with it matters, but also I just don't think the impact wasn't as great as I would have wanted it to be. But I know I'm kind of in the minority with that, and that's my opinion. After I get over the fact that it didn't meet expectations with the hype, sometimes I consider reading books like that again, because I think sometimes with hype, you're just gonna be let down because it's just kind of setting you up to be disappointed. That being said, this is a clean slate for me. I'm excited to read it, and my hopes are high because I love religious horror. I think it's really fun. I think there's a really gothic, mystical, ethereal element to it, which I'm excited about. So we'll see how this goes. So the next one I got is Misery by Stephen King. So in our trip to Tramblins in the other vlog, I got a few hardback Stephen Kings because I love them and I just think they're so classic looking in terms of that style of horror. And I know Misery is a lot of people's favorites and I've never read it. I really want to get through Stephen King's books because I think he's a really great writer. My favorite so far is Pet Sematary. And also, again, you guys, I love this edition because there's just this massive photo of him on the back. So I'm really excited to get through that one. I think I might want to do a Summerween reading vlog where I read a few Stephen Kings and maybe we'll like go in the woods and camp or something. That might be fun. So the next one, completely different genre. It's the only sci-fi one I have to show you, and it's none other than Red Rising. So Red Rising is another one that I have been avoiding because I don't want to be disappointed, but we're getting out of our comfort zone this year. We are just gonna try things that we think we'll really, really love, but if we don't like it, that's okay. It's fine. And there's a lot of hype around this right now. Obviously, this book has been around for a while, but it's really gotten some traction. I know there's another special edition of this that is coming out this year, and I know some people who have similar taste to me that didn't love it. So I'm curious to see how this will sit for me, and I want to go into this one pretty blind. I've avoided a lot of synopses of it, so I will definitely be doing a reading vlog of this because I think this is an unknown enough book where I want to see what all the hype is about. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, you guys are here, you're in my space, my world, and that means we're friends, right? Like, that means that we can talk about all books and we can talk about, like books that maybe are, I wouldn't want to hold up at the airport, like I wouldn't want to hold them up like on a bus, or just I wouldn't want to be at the park with kids when I talk about these books. But we're not at those places, we're on my channel and we're going to talk about these books. So, okay, you guys, first one, here's why I think it'd be so fun to do a dark romance like reading vlog, just to like see what the hype is about, to see what's going on there. I am just a curious person. I can't help it. If there's a topic about books or any type of book that people are talking about, I want to see what it's about. So I want to have a smutty book vlog where I see what's going on. And you guys, I will right now go through the general plot points of these, but it's It's ridiculous. So, okay, the first one we have is Credence by Penelope Douglas. I already knew a little bit about this one before I picked it up. This one is like very talked about. It's controversial because, let me just read it. It says, 3 of them, 1 of her, and a remote cabin in the woods. Stop it, you guys, stop. So it says, Tiernan doesn't care about anything anymore. She's so angsty. The only child of a film producer and his movie star wife, she's grown up with wealth and privilege, but never love or guidance. And when her parents suddenly pass away, she knows she should be devastated, but she's always been alone, hasn't she? Jake, her father's stepbrother, so kind of like her uncle, assumes guardianship of Tiernan. After moving to the mountains of Colorado to live with Jake and his 2 sons, Noah and Caleb, Tiernan quickly learns that these men now have a say in what she chooses to care and not care about anymore. As the 3 men take Tiernan under their wing, she slowly finds her place among them. Yeah, bet you do, Tiernan. But lines blur and rules become easy to break when no one else is watching. They each want her, but only one of them is going to keep her. I don't know what to say. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. This is fine. Okay, so the next one I have is called Does It Hurt? But okay, look at the cover. Can we just like take a moment? It's so, actually, I really like the cover. I think that's fun looking. I'm going to read you guys what it's about, but I also opened the front page of this, and is it the dedication? Like, it's so unserious. But first I'll read you guys the synopsis. It says, who am I? I've forgotten the answer to that question long ago. Ever since I ran from that house so desperate to escape, I left with only the clothes on my back and socks on my feet. After that day, I've only ever walked in stolen shoes. Could I be a girl who is searching for the meaning of life in faceless men? They were all so forgettable until he came along. He took me under a waterfall and made me forget my name. Girl. And in return, I took his instead. Enzo Talley, an enigmatic man that will only ever love the deep sea. Or rather, the predators that inhabit it. Turns out he's not so different than the monsters he feeds. Sharks. Oh, wait. Yes, this is a shark book. He lured me into his book. He lured... Why did I say that? He lured me onto his boat like a fish in the ocean, seeking vengeance for my crime. Had I realized his intentions and that a massive storm would leave us shipwrecked, I would have ran. Now I'm a girl who's seeking refuge in a decrepit lighthouse with a man who loathes me almost as much as he craves me. Okay. He wants to hurt me, but the old caretaker of the abandoned island may have intentions far more sinister. It's no longer a question of who I am, but rather, will I survive? Girl. Okay. I'm gonna be so honest. So, like, this one I'm reading to understand the hype and to, like, I want to be part of the conversation. You know what I mean? Like, when people talk about this insane plot with, like, her uncle, I want to be able to be like, yeah, like, and then share in the discussion. This one, I actually am kind of like intrigued. It's a shark book. There's sharks in it, and she holds up in a lighthouse. The plot sounds kind of interesting, but you guys are gonna die. So you have pages like this, which have a picture behind it, and then it has the title. But this is the part that almost made me chuck this book in the garbage disposal. There's a picture and it says, "To baby shark, step aside, daddy shark is here now." No, no. Okay, one thing I'll say about that, like, I hate it, but also it makes me feel like that this author is aware of how ridiculous this stuff is. And that's okay. That's okay. It's not meant to be serious. And I do not think reading has to be serious. I think reading needs to be enjoyed. It's meant to be for people to experience in any way they want, and that includes books like this. But that was hard for me to to sit with. And then the last one, which actually the plot kind of has me intrigued. It's called Kingmakers, and this is a series, and it's year 1, and it's by Sophie Lark. So this says, bound by blood, torn by love, in the shadowed halls of Kingmakers, a ruthless mafia university, the offspring of the world's most feared families come to master the dark arts of influence and intimidation. So it's like a mafia romance. Leo, unwaveringly loyal to his childhood friend Anna, follows her into a world where love is a weapon, trust is a casualty, and survival is the only victory that matters. But the greatest danger comes from Dean Yenin, a Baratva heir with a vendetta as cold as his heart. Dean plans to destroy Leo and take everything he holds dear, starting with Anna. Can Leo win back his soulmate, or is Anna lost forever? Oh, not two guys fighting over one girl. All right, I think the cover is actually pretty. I like it. It sounds like a fast-paced good time, like brain rot good time, which I'm always here for. So I'm excited, but like you guys can understand why, like, it's a little silly to like show these books, but I think that would be really fun for all of us together to do a whole reading vlog on these books. Let's get out of our comfort zone. Let's see what it's about. And yeah. All right. So we're going to very sharply pivot into the last genre I have for you guys, and that is classics. So I have a lot of classics to share because I just found some really good stuff. And then also, which I'll show you when I was at Barnes & Noble, they have a really pretty edition out of classics that I really love. So the first one I got, which is very random, it's called Katherine by Anya Seton. And so my name is Kat, but my full name is Katherine, and it's spelled like this. I saw this at a used bookstore on the shelf, and like, I'm a little narcissistic. What can I say? And so I'm like, this book is a medieval style fantasy about a woman named Katherine. It was written by a woman. It was published in 1954, which is actually so cool. And you guys, look how fun that is. It's the woman on the front, and isn't that neat? I just think that's so cool. And so I actually am going to read this, and I am taking it with a grain of salt because it's an older book, but I'm excited about that. A female author in the 1950s, medieval story, has my name on it. My favorite color, green, so fun. So the next one I found is this really pretty hardcover edition of The Divine Comedy by Dante. And so look at this. It's so pretty. And I love it. It's going to look so pretty on a shelf. And I actually have been planning on getting a copy of this because I have Catabasis by R.F. Kuang pre-ordered. And I know that book is based on Dante's Inferno, which is one of the, I think it's poems in the Divine Comedy. So I would love to read this classic and get through it, understand it so I can understand the references in Catabasis. But I'm not going to lie, I think this copy is more going to be one for my shelf to have. And then I might get another copy to annotate it because I just know with a classic, I'm just going to be annotating the heck out of it. So the next one I found, and again, it's just a fun copy, is the Dorothy Parker stories. I have yet to read Dorothy Parker. I hear great things about her writing, and I hear she's really, really funny. I hear Dorothy Parker's writing is such a good time. I love this copy because there's just this beautiful picture of her, and I think I'm really going to enjoy it. All right, so now we're going to get into the editions that Barnes & Noble has right now, and it's not just Barnes & Noble, actually. These are just signature classic editions that you can get, and the first one I got is The Great Gatsby. So again, I talked about this in my May TBR video. I started this. I am loving it. I am recording a vlog on this, and I am just so happy to be reading it. I read this a long time ago, and I'm just at an age now where I know I can appreciate it differently, and I just absolutely love reading from the perspective of Nick Carraway. I feel like he understands me, the way he sees the world. It's the best time. The next, I got a copy of Wuthering Heights by none other than Emily Bronte. And this is actually one of my favorites. Again, I read this so long ago. And so I think reading it now at a fully adult age, I will be able to appreciate it in a new way. And I think I'm going to prioritize this one in the fall because that's when I remember I read it for the first time, and it has very nostalgic memories for me. So I'm excited to read that. And this copy is so beautiful. I love it. The next one I got is The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. And again, this copy is so pretty. I can't wait to have these all together on the shelf. And I have never read this. I love the play, which if you don't know the play, what are you doing? It's such a good musical. So I'm excited to read the actual story. I know a few people who have this as one of their favorite classics, so I could see myself really, really loving it. So the second to last one I got is a copy of Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and I actually have never read Jane Eyre. I really wanted to save it for a time in my life when I know I would appreciate it, and I feel like I've hit that time where this very much fits what I want to be reading right now, and this is a really, really pretty copy. I'm so happy to have it, and I'm gonna pick this one up soon. I definitely have priorities in terms of what classics I want to read, and this is up there. This is one I know I'm going to enjoy. It's very much going to be my vibe. And then the last book and the last classic I have to share with you today with this very long book haul is none other than The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. And you guys, look at this cover. It is so unbelievably gorgeous, and I love this story. So I have never read this book, but I've read passages, and the most recent movie adaptation of this is one of my favorite movies of all time. And then I think there's an even older adaptation than that, but I have never read this. And just this story, like the romance, the tragedy, the history, I know I'm going to lose myself in this story. It is very, very long, but I don't really have big book fear. I think that comes from really being raised in higher fantasy and loving it. So luckily that is not something I have to overcome. Turns out the thing I have to overcome is being afraid I won't love a book, which is a weird thing to be afraid of. But this is something I'm definitely going to be getting to this year. I might do an entire reading vlog just reading this book, because this is a moment for me that's going to be very special, and I am so excited to read it. This is the classic that I'm definitely most excited to read right now. All right, my friends, so I hope you had fun going through my book haul for today, and I hope to do another one with you soon. We're going to take it easy for a little bit on the book buying, right? We're going to set boundaries. Yeah, but thanks for being here with me today. If you enjoyed it and want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe. I would very much appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Bye.